I am Vinnie Tortorich. Folks, your good intentions have been stolen, but don't worry. I'm here to help you get them back. You may be soft and succulent at the beginning of this process, but hang in there. Before long, you will be lean and mean, guaranteed, just like our guest today. Yeah, there's no sugar in his coffee tonight. There's no sugar in his tea. This guy's been on the show before, and I saw something on the X the other day, and I said, I got to get this guy on. I got to talk to him. I want to find out what makes him tick. He's been here before. He's not a doctor. He's not any kind of lawyer, but he is an expert. He's an expert on how to gain a lot of weight, how to lose a lot of weight, how to gain it back, and how to lose it again. I'm talking about our old friend, Mr. Tim Mallien. Yeah. How's it going, Tim?
It is going very well. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm wondering how many times I'm going to call you Scott King before the end of the show.
Safe bets on at least 5.
Because you guys are, you guys are not dissimilar, right? I mean, the struggle is real. And, his story is pretty amazing. And I know that you guys still chat back and forth, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And he's only about an hour and a half away from me, so we're pretty close.
Yeah. Do you guys hang out? I know at one point you guys got together. I saw a photo of something, but.
Yeah, with his work schedule and my school schedule, it hasn't happened recently. So the last time was 2 years ago, and it's 2 years too long, if you ask me.
Yeah, I like to get in the same room with both of you guys at some point. But that's just me. I'm sure you guys are going, we don't have time for you, old man, but it's just the way it goes.
Well, I will make the time for you.
I told you the next time I go down to Louisiana, I'd give you a call, but I snuck down there for a funeral, and it was like, I don't have time. I can, I got to get in, got to get out. Obligations.
Oh yeah.
So Tim, let's tell your story. First off, age, height, and highest weight ever. Let's start with that. Let's give the audience a little Tim background.
Okay, so a little background about me is I turned 40 back in February. At my highest, I was 376 pounds in the spring of 2022. And I am 5'9" on a good day. On a regular day, 5'8.5".
Okay, so 5'8". That's what we're looking at. Not the tallest guy in the world. So having that kind of weight on you, that's significant, right? I mean, we're talking, you're getting to the point, as I always say, wider than you are tall.
Right? Pretty damn close to that too.
Yeah. How did it come on? Let's start with that. You're a kid. Were you a chubby kid? Were you an athlete? What happened?
Well, I was the athlete who was not a good athlete, and really, I was bigger. I wasn't like absolutely massively huge, but weightlifting and football and track kind of kept it at bay. But then as soon as I graduated high school, because I wasn't going to be a college athlete, that was never going to happen. But as soon as I graduated high school and went to college, and that freshman 15 became a freshman 50 real quick, because I didn't know how to eat. I didn't really know how to really be active outside of football. So it came on really, really quick. And before I knew it, I was over 300 pounds and I was 19 years old.
Yeah, my freshman 15 came on as a senior because I was out of football. You get there, you're on scholarship. I was on scholarship, so we had training table. So for me, the eating wasn't any different than it was when I was at home. Now, even being an athlete, there's more latitude, right? There's pizza, there's beer, but I didn't even drink. I didn't drink in college at all, not one drink. Right. I didn't start drinking until I was like in my mid-30s. So there was no alcohol for me, which means there wasn't a whole lot of, back then it was chili cheese fries and stuff like that. They would serve at the college bars. And, I wasn't much into it, but I would have the occasional pizza or whatever. So, but it wasn't like a big deal for me. And playing football and always being in shape and always being in the gym, I was fine. when I was off of training table and now I had to fend for myself and I had no money, I learned about something called ramen noodles. And I learned that a bag of rice can fill you up. I learned that a bag of cheap pasta can fill you up. And all you have to do is put a little butter on it. I didn't even buy the sauce or anything because it wasn't going to taste like my grandmother's sauce, right? So salt, butter, or salt and olive oil, pour it on there. That was a meal. And my freshman 15 came on as a senior. I got up to 275. So you're a freshman and you gained 50 pounds. So where did you start? Let's say your last day of high school. What did you weigh?
I would say probably the last day of high school, probably 240, 245, maybe 250. I didn't own a scale, so I don't know. I was basically just going by clothes size and how I felt, and I looked like crap. I mean, shit, I had bad acne, and I just looked like I looked every bit of a 250-pound guy, but I felt like probably a 350-pound guy, if I'm being completely honest with you. And it was rough.
Okay, so that's how you leave high school at 245?
I'd say about that, yeah.
So end of freshman year college, where are we?
Over 300 easily.
Okay, so people always and the people used to always say this to me. They go, "Vin, you work with morbidly obese people." Yeah, I'm lying. They don't say that to me. They will go, "Vin, you work with those fat people?" That's what people actually say to me. I go, "Yeah, yes, I do." Dude, what's wrong? They couldn't see they were getting fat. It's like, oh no, they know. They know they're getting fat. They just don't know how to not be fat, right? They are doing everything they're told is correct. Can you speak to that?
Oh, absolutely. And the mirror can be your best friend, it could be your enemy at the same time, but it wasn't a sudden increase. It was just, oh, clothes are a little bit tighter, and maybe I look a little bigger, but you don't notice it as the gradual increase until it's too late. And then all of a sudden you're like, well, holy crap, look where I'm at now. And you're thinking, well, I guess now that I'm over 300 pounds, I better do something about it. And then that's where you're at the point where you don't necessarily know what to do, because you've got diet culture that we've talked about before. You've got all these BS programs, and they work. I put in emphasis, they work, but you're white knuckling it. You're miserable, and honestly, you don't learn a dang thing from anything they teach you. It's basically put yourself in survival mode and white knuckle it until you're at a weight you want to be, and then you get off and you go right back to where you were. And that happened over and over and over again for the last 20 years.
Yeah, look, I talked about it in my book, right? I didn't realize I was getting fat because when I left football, I weighed about 220 and my waist was probably 32, right? I was still built like, I was one of those football players that looked like a bodybuilder, right? And I decided to stay in the gym because I was able to stay in the gym for free. And I wanted to hang on to my bench pressing 400-pound status. Kind of wanted to hang on a little bit to my squat, stay in the 500s or at least above 450. I still have these things I wanted to hang on to, just stupid things that you think you're going to hang on to for life. But I didn't notice that I was getting a gut. I didn't notice that all of a sudden there was this big punch right in the front because I didn't care about that. I just cared about the lift, right? How much can I lift? And I tell the story in the book where I said to my friend Janie, we were at Camellia Grill in Uptown New Orleans, right there on Carrollton. I literally said, I think the dryer is shrinking up my 501s. And she did a spit take into her, she had a milkshake. She did a spit take. And I was like, all right, what? She goes, oh, sweetie, it's not your dryer. You're getting fat. And I was like, come again? I literally did the arm, I curled the muscle and showed him. I said, come on, look at these guns. Look at my chest. I just benched 405 yesterday, right? She was like, yeah, you're strong, but you're getting fat. I didn't know. So when people say, hey, man, how do these fat people get fat? When they don't see it? I didn't know. I was 20 years old, 21 years old. No idea. Right? Because I was looking at the wrong metric. I was looking at my pecs, my biceps, and my quads. Who cared about what was happening around the middle? I could still lift a lot of weight, right? People don't realize that that's what goes on, right?
Oh, absolutely. People just don't understand that, people have never been fat. They don't understand the whole, just what goes through your mind, what you see, what you don't see, because the mind is probably your biggest enemy. It plays a lot of tricks on you, and you don't see things right away until you do, and then you can't unsee it.
So what was the first? Mine was Janie spitting back into her, doing a spit take. What was your first clue that, oh, wait, this is getting out of hand?
My first big clue was when I was doing my clinical rotations for education. I was in a second grade classroom because I had to if I was elementary, so I had to pick. I could student teach upper grades and clinical in the little grades, or vice versa. So I said, okay, well, I'll do my clinical in second grade. And I couldn't keep up with those kids. And I was 21 years old. And I'm like, that's not a good thing. When a 21-year-old man who's you'd think would be in decent health can't keep up with 8-year-olds, that's when I had a problem. I looked in the mirror and I said, oh my gosh, this is not good. So that was the first time I decided to do something about it. And it worked. I got down there pretty well. I probably lost about 90 pounds, started running, and I was a good runner for a while until I wasn't because of injury and time and everything else. I made every excuse in the book, but I looked good for a while, and then I failed again.
So so how old are you at that point? How long did it take you to lose 90 pounds, and exactly how did you do it?
I was 21, 22 years old. I started doing the old MetaFast, and that was pure hell. I lasted about 5-6 months on that, and I probably lost over half of that weight just on that. And then I decided I really wanted to start running because I always liked doing it. Like when we did our training runs for football, I loved doing it. So I'm going to run a 5K. So in 2007, I ran my first 5K. I mean, it was nothing to write home about. I mean, it was like 29, 30 minutes, which not bad for a 270 pound fat guy. And then I started to love it. So then I started doing half marathons, 10Ks, and that got me through until I graduated from college, moved to Louisiana for my first teaching job. And that first teaching job was horrible. It was absolutely awful. And I don't deal with depression well. I never have. That's been a big reason why I got so fat was I eat my feelings, and I ate my feelings. So basically once I stopped running and I didn't care what went in my mouth, the weight came right back. And I got to about at my highest at that point was 345 by about 2015. And again, my son was born in September of 2015. And I looked in the mirror and said, I'm a fat dad. I can't do this. So back again to running again. I found low carb this time. So I was able to do really well with it and went from 345 down to probably 265, 270, which is more than I am now today. But I was running half marathons, running 10Ks, 5Ks. I was fully invested in it. I loved it. And then in 2017, just late 2017, I was running a half marathon, got to mile 10, and I couldn't finish. I had this searing pain in my hip, and I didn't know what was going on. I thought I pulled something, don't know. Had to walk the last 3 miles, and I'm thinking, I'll just take a rest. And I went and did another one 2 weeks later. Same thing. So my brother-in-law is an orthopedist, and he said, why don't you come in, we'll do an x-ray and see what's going on. We get the x-ray done. He calls me I'm sitting in the little waiting room. He calls me in and says, dude, get your ass in here. And I'm thinking, oh God, that's not good. He says, how the fuck were you running for the last 10 years with the hip you have? And I looked at him, I said, what do you mean? I don't understand what you're talking about. He goes, dude, there is no cartilage. You are bone on that hip. No wonder you're hurting. Yeah. He said, the fact that you even ran more than 5 miles is a miracle. He said,
Wow.
you've got to have a total hip replacement. And that was crushing, completely crushing. And again, at that point, I kind of gave up on life for a while. I was depressed for many, many years after that point.
So running was your savior. Can we say that? I mean,
Absolutely.
look, sports have always been my savior. You know, it got me out of trouble when I was a kid. I didn't even realize I'd be good at sports. You know, my parents were both academic types, and they weren't talking about sports in the home or anything. It turns out two of us were great athletes out of the four brothers, and that was my savior. And even though you weren't getting college scholarships, I mean, you were using athletics to calm yourself, just to right the ship, I guess.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
the side effect is, it keeps you on the straight and narrow with food. I want to go back just a little bit. Metafast is one of those things I should talk about more. There was a time in the whole diet world when it was drink these 2 shakes a day and then have a quote unquote sensible meal, right? Wasn't
Yep.
that one?
They called it a lean and green.
Yeah. So that was Metafast, right? You drink those shakes twice a day.
Yep. Or
And
they had shakes, puddings, and these soups, and they were awful.
yeah.
I don't know how. I think I just was the sheer power of white knuckling it to get through it because they were so bad. Because I was just so desperate to lose the weight that I just finally just said, "Screw it, let's do it."
Yeah. Jenny Craig was the same way. You had to eat their food.
Oh, I did that too, and let me tell you, that was another bull crap. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Look, I used to find people in Hollywood. I'd show up and they go, "Yeah, I'm doing this, I'm doing that." And the part, and I'm very ashamed of myself for doing this, but some of these weren't long term clients of mine. But I had some clients, and they had like big careers, like they were childhood stars and this kind of thing, or they had success very young, and now they can't really do anything else in life, right? They were like a big star. I'm going to give someone who's not actually. All right, so this woman was never a client of mine. Like Alyssa Milano, right? She was a big star when she's like 9. But for the rest of her life, she's Alyssa Milano. She can't go get a job at Walmart, right? She can't really, because she was a big deal. So what do these people do? There's nothing else they can do. Some of them get jobs in voiceover, doing cartoons or whatever they can. And other ones back in the day would do infomercials. It was kind of the death of anyone's career, but a lot of child stars you would see. I'll give a great example of someone. She was not a client either. Osmond, Marie Osmond, was a big deal. All of a sudden, she's got bills to pay. She's got kids to put through private school. And she does, was it Weight Watchers? I don't know which one she did, right? But
yeah, I think it was Weight Watchers.
they would do those ads. Well, back in the infomercial days, there were tons of products and there were tons of child stars who were doing these things, except they all got fat when they got older. So I would get called in. And again, I'm going to reiterate what I said earlier. I am not proud of this, but I had to make a living too. That's why I do all of this stuff for free now, because I feel so bad about what I did. They would call me in to take the weight off of the person. And then the person would go, "Hey, I used to look like this 3 months ago. And I started taking this product and now I look like that." I still can't tell you guys what the products are because they can still sue the crap out of me, right? It's all non-disclosures, up to yin yang. You can't even talk about it. I can't even tell you the actresses or the actor, right? Because that's how crazy it is. And I'm not proud of that moment in my life, but it was a big check, right? It was always a big check. You get 2 months or you get 6 weeks to get all of this weight. So these people were lying on camera, and I was the reason they were lying. And, I got nothing out of it other than I was able to pay my bills, right? That's why I'm so adamant about what I do now. I'm just not proud of what I did back then, right? Hollywood is not a good place. There's nothing gracious about Hollywood, man. It will eat you up and spit you out. And in order to make it, sometimes you got to do things you don't want to do. you know.
Oh yeah.
It's just a crazy thing. And I feel bad when I hear you guys mention some of the products that I was involved in, right? Because I feel like I was part of it. And if they
Yeah.
weren't going to hire me, they were going to hire someone like me. That was just the way it was going to go.
Yeah, you do what you got to do. I mean, you got to
Yeah.
feed your family, you got to feed yourself, and not always proud of it, but you got to take care of number one.
Yeah. And that was part of when I ended up with cancer. I sat around and went, am I really happy with what I've done with my life? And the answer was no. No, I was part of that machine. So when I hear you saying, hey, I used this product, I used that one, I did the other one, I know from some of those products. So you go back and forth. How many times do you go back and forth, gaining and losing the same, somewhere between 70 and 100 pounds? If you had to guess.
If I had to guess, I would say in the last 20 years, probably 5 times.
That's crazy, right? It takes a bit of your soul every time, right?
Yeah, it's more and more defeating every time. Like, so after I had my hip replaced in 2019, because I was a stubborn jackass who said, "Oh no, I'll wait a couple years till my son is older," because he was, when I was diagnosed, he was 2. I'm like, I'm gonna be stubborn and just wait a couple years and put it off as long as I can. Well, it was a dire emergency situation where I should have had it done that year, because I was miserable for almost a year and a half. Got it done in the summer of 2019, and then when I'm told you can never run again, you'll never be able to do it, it was almost kind of game over, because
Yeah.
not only did I enjoy the actual running part of it. I like to call myself an extroverted introvert. Like, I love being around people until I don't.
Yeah.
But I had my little circle of running friends that we went every Saturday morning. We would go between 6 and 10 miles, and that was like one of the best parts of my day before I got to hang out with my son and my wife. And once I couldn't do that anymore, like it was like a big piece of my life was just taken away. And I tried swimming, I tried biking, and neither one of those things were the same. It didn't scratch that itch, so to speak,
Yeah.
because I didn't know anybody in the swimming. I don't know. There's not a big swimming community here in Shreveport. There's the biking community. I don't know anybody there, so I was kind of on my own for a long time, and I got really, really, really depressed, because not only could I not do what I wanted to do anymore, I don't want to say I lost friends, but that friendship I had, where it wasn't the same anymore.
Yeah.
So basically for the 2.5 years after I had my hip surgery, I was a shell of myself. I did not care what went in my mouth. I did not care what I did or didn't do, and I kind of gave up on life. If I'm being completely honest, as I was, I hate saying this, but it's the truth. Is I just honestly did not care if I was alive or dead, and I feel really bad saying that, because I have about to have a 10-year-old son. I've been married for 13 years, and they didn't deserve to to have to deal with that part of me. We know, that unhappy, miserable, depressed person. They weren't getting my best for a long time, and it's one of those things that I probably is my biggest regret. I mean, yeah, I regret being almost 400 pounds, but I really regret mostly being a depressed shell of myself that was just not. I was there physically, but mentally, I was checked out for a long time. And it wasn't until 2022 when I went to a soccer game with some of my fifth graders, invited me to go watch them play soccer. And we took a picture to make my best friend at school jealous. And I saw the picture and I just said, "Oh my God, how did I get here?" Like, it was one of those glass shattering moments. And then a week later, my best friend from high school and college got married in South Texas, and we got the pictures from the wedding, and I was just Michelin man.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was just that double edge, that double kick in the ass that said, "Okay, you've got to make a change." And it was, believe it or not, I think I've told you this before. When I was in South Texas, I actually found a documentary through a sponsored Facebook ad, and that started to lay the groundwork. So a couple months before I hit that rock bottom, I was kind of setting the groundwork for, okay, you're not ready to make a change yet, but it's coming. So I consumed the podcast for probably 3-4 months before I actually jumped in there and took the plunge, so to speak, and actually started to change my life.
You mentioned that the summer of 19, you start to hit rock bottom. You have the surgery. You do all this stuff. We can't leave out that one of the biggest world events happened, right in January of 2020 with COVID, right?
Yeah.
So we go right from depressing to depressing. I mean, here we are in 2025, and I do consults every day. Today I did 1, 2, 3, 4 consults today. One of them today, 2 of them yesterday. A day doesn't go by in the consults where someone will tell me I lost 200 pounds, I lost 75 pounds, I lost 150 pounds, and then COVID hit, right? I get the COVID. Here we are I'm still getting the COVID story. Did COVID have anything to do with you just remaining depressed between the summer of 19 and 2022 when you went to a soccer game?
I would say honestly no, because I actually really enjoyed my time at home with my family because, my son was in pre-K and
Yeah.
my wife's a first grade teacher, so, we were at home a lot. We got a lot of good time. Even though I was depressed and miserable, I was still got some good family time. She taught my son to read, and at 4 years old, he was reading like amazingly well. And so that was one thing that kind of kept me up was like, he's doing awesome in school, and we got to do all that kind of fun stuff as families. We went to the beach, we did things in the yard, we did stuff, but I was very fortunate that I didn't get the double whammy of here I'm depressed from having my hip replaced and I'm locked inside. No, I was able to get a lot of vitamin D while I'm there, but it just still wasn't enough to completely pull me out of my funk.
Did you ever think that's right? School teachers, you guys got paid, right? And you got to stay home. And so, did you ever think, hey, this is kind of like being in prison? Everyone always goes, man, if I'm in prison, I would just start working out every day, right? If I didn't have all the outside, things happening. You ever think during that time, I can't run anymore. I really hate swimming. It's not a social event. Maybe hitting the gym, but I guess all the gyms were closed, right? I mean,
Yeah, they were all shut down.
yeah. Yeah, that's same here. But, I've talked, ad nauseum about it's a full-fledged gym now, but this gym started off, I called it my prison gym. I started with just a bar and some weights and a bench, and that was it. And that's why my wife always says to me, you have a full-fledged gym and you still go to the gym in town. I said, yeah, we always, when we're suffering, we like to see other people, right? We want to watch, we're all in it together. Even though you don't talk to them, you're all in the gym together. It's this
Absolutely.
weird communication when you're in there, right? It's like when you're running on Saturday, you're running, you might feel a low pain, but the guy running next to you, chatting with you, he's feeling a low pain too. And it somehow makes it better. It's the human experience. And she goes, well, if you go to the gym, why do you have to have a gym in your office? I said, because if the gyms are ever shut down again, I have this gym. Or if there's an early football game, I have this gym. Or if it's snowing out and I don't want to go to the gym, I have this gym. Right? I use it at my discretion. As a matter of fact, I use it to stretch every morning. I use it to do my lower back work. I use it to do my neck work. It's not like I don't use it, right? It still gets it, but that's the thing. You have to always somehow find your way to do what you need to do to get where you want to get. So you and I spoke, I'll never forget, I was sitting on a back porch and it was raining out. When did we speak? It was a while back when you and I talked. And was that the last time? Was that the time when you said, hey, I'm going for it again?
Um, you know, we've talked so many times. I'm trying to think. I think it was, and we were talking. Somehow got talking about growing grass in the backyard and all that good stuff. It was
Yeah.
about a year and a half ago or so.
Yeah. Was that the last time you started over again?
No, it wasn't. The last time I truly started over was back in October, and I haven't looked back
Wait,
since.
hang on. I want to go back to the last time before the last time, but let me
Okay.
do a quick ad, folks. Villa Capelli olive oil. We love Villa Capelli around here. I use olive oil as a supplement. But as you know, if you've heard this podcast for any amount of time, not all olive oil is the same. You're able to cut it up to 40% in this country with seed oils. You've heard people talk about seed oils. You could cut olive oil 40% and still call it 100% pure olive oil. It's criminal. Don't fall into that trap. Get Villa Capelli olive oil. Let them know we sent you. Put in promo code Vinnie, Vinnie. No went to Y, Vinnie. You get 10% off every single time. Villa Capelli olive oil. We're talking to Tim Mallien. So, Tim, you and I, we've had a lot of conversations. We had a lot of fits and starts and everything else. So, we're talking about, let's go back to when we were talking about laying sod. I think you were laying sod in your yard, or was I planting grass, or
No,
what was
I was.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
when I got the nickname the Sod Father.
Yeah, the sod father. All right. So that time you said, "Hey, I'm in." What happened? Because you see, we need to talk about the failures.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to talk about the success. I want to know about the failures.
Well, I'm going to be completely honest. I'm not going to give my school name because that would just be terrible. But I was in a really toxic school environment, and I didn't realize how unhappy I was until I got out this past summer. And that was a big thing, is that I was miserable at that school, and I felt like I was not in control of anything. And I had done really, really well from 2022 to really the summer of 23. I was down from 376 down to 315. So I was down 60 some pounds, doing great. Then that bad school year hit, and I stopped caring. I really, really stopped caring. And I don't want to say I got in my own head, but I got in my own head is that I was coping. I was trying to survive, and I just didn't care. So then the weight crept back up, and I went from 315 to 361 in the matter of months.
Yeah.
I would say probably from late 2023 into the summer of 24. And then I looked at myself again right before school started, and I said, "Oh my God, I'm back to where I was, minus 15 pounds, but it's still too close for comfort again."
Yeah, you're up there. You're up there. None of it is healthy.
No,
So
not at all.
what happens that time?
I had to get truly real with myself, and I had to compartmentalize my personal life and my professional life. And really and this is me being completely honest, and I know you're an atheist, but for me, this was a God thing. I decided back in this fall that I was going to put some feelers out to some other schools in my district, just to put my name out there and just say, "Hey, I'm thinking about making the change, moving up to either middle school or high school." I've taught fifth grade for 16 years, and I put that email out there, and I don't know, this calm and this peace just came over me, and I realized, okay, I'm going to change. If I'm going to change my career and do something different, why can't I change my life and make it stick? It was almost like I had that aha moment, that light bulb clicked, and from there on out, I was all in. And then probably 4 months later, back at the end of February, the principal of my middle school called me while I was teaching. He goes, "Hey, I was going through some email and saw that you were interested in possibly coming over. Would you want to come interview?" I said, "Absolutely." And this was at that point, I was down 60 pounds. I was just under 300. So I was probably about 297, 295. And I went in there with this confidence that I hadn't felt in a long time. I felt good. And I don't know, it was just like I knew that I was changing my life in all the different ways. And I'm going to toot my own horn. I killed that interview, and they offered me the job 2 days later. I took it,
Nice.
and I have not been happy. Like, school started back on August 8th. Normally, I would come home exhausted and just dead to the world. I came home. My wife said, "What's wrong with you? You are happy. You're energized. You looked like a totally different person." I said, "Yeah, because I am." And finally, it was like everything finally clicked. Personal life separate, work life separate, making changes in both. And finally, I'm thriving for the first time in probably 5 or 6 years. I'm truly, truly thriving.
Well, it's just amazing. We go through our daily life, just changing a job, and I tell that to people all the time. They go, "Oh, I'm scared. I don't want to change. I don't want to change." It's like, you know what? You're not happy where you are. And a great friend of mine, a great athlete, once told me, there's a term that I can't remember which Asian culture, maybe the Chinese use this term. They call it riding the tiger, right? As long as you're on the back of the tiger riding, you have to get off, but when you get off, the tiger can attack you and eat you and kill you, right? So you just stay on the tiger. You just stay on the back, right? Knowing that at some point you should get off and face the tiger, and you did it, right? You got off the tiger. You said, "Hey, I'm getting off." I guess in Louisiana it would be riding the alligator, right?
Or maybe the crawfish.
Yeah. Well, but when you think about when you're on an alligator, they have no predator other than man, and it's because we have guns and knives. But if you get on the back of an alligator, he can't do an effing thing about it, right? If his claws get you or his tail gets you, he can knock you sideways and then bite you or do something. But if you're on his back, you can swim away. Now, if he goes underwater, you got to let go because he can stay underwater longer than you. But yeah, riding the alligator.
If you keep his mouth closed, he can't open it either.
Yeah, that's right. I've taped a few of them shut that way. You can hold them with 2 fingers.
That's just crazy that they have all this force behind the closing, but the opening, it's nothing.
Yes, it's not that it's nothing. And people think, oh, you could just hold it. You got to remember, if he jerks his head, now he's So it's good if someone's on their back holding them whenever you hold the mouth shut, because it's pretty amazing. But
those
folks,
are some wild animals.
Don't go play with alligators. They're prehistoric. It's the last dinosaur. That and sharks are the 2 dinosaurs that are still on Earth. I guess birds are.
And full disclosure, I've never actually played with an alligator. The closest I've gotten to one is 8 feet, and it was under one of our buildings at school, and a leaf hit my back, and I shot off that ground like a missile out of a silo.
I'm so scared of snakes, man. Little tiny snakes, and I'm afraid like there's no tomorrow. Alligators, no problem. Because you can see the alligator, right? It's like, I can see you. I know where you are. I know you don't want to deal with me. We're good, right?
Yeah, we've had a snake terrorizing our backyard for a couple months when it was really rainy. So I finally caught it and got it out. But it's like the dog one day was playing with it. I'm like, come on, seriously?
What kind was it?
It was a water snake. It was not a water mock. It was just a harmless water snake, thankfully. Yeah,
man, the moccasins down there. I grew up with those damn things. That's why I'm so afraid of all snakes. It's because of the water moccasins.
One day I was going to cut the grass, and I walk in the backyard, and there it is, just staring at me. Yeah. I'm like, oh, round eyes, we're good. Got the tongs and flipped his butt over the fence. But I'm like, seriously, can I just catch a break once? Because the way they slither is unnatural.
Yeah. You can walk without feet. I got problems,
Nailed it.
So, at any rate, I'm glad to know. And, you just put a post up. How much weight have you lost this time, Tim?
I'm at 115.
Wow.
And it's been 100, and I lost 100 pounds so I started at 361 in October, like the beginning of October of 24, and just crossed 100 this past weekend.
Wow. So what's your total weight now?
At 261.
And am I making this up, or did I see a photo of your wife? She's lost weight too, or?
She's lost almost 70.
That's crazy. So between you guys, you've lost like a whole human being, a male, a full-size grown dude. You guys have lost together.
Yeah, we've been. I'm gonna pat myself on the back. We've been killing it.
Yeah,
and I couldn't be more proud of her too. She's been working her butt off, and she's been doing fantastic.
I just saw Mary. Mary, is it Cole? I always get her name mixed up.
Mary Cole and her daughter Alice.
Yeah, and her husband. I mean, Mary and her husband. It's kind of like you guys. I mean, you guys should look at them, right? They killed it as a couple. They look younger. They're my age, and they look younger now than they did 10 years ago. No doubt, right? And there are a lot of people like that out there. I wish I should bring more of them onto the show, because I think it helps other people when you guys are on talking about, your W's and your L's, your wins and losses. Now, as far as running go, no running still. I know you walk a lot. This kind of thing.
That's all I can do, and I have to have a second hip replacement on my other side now. So, Yeah, that's not going to happen anytime soon. But this one, thankfully, is not the emergency situation like it was a couple years ago. I just was starting to feel discomfort, so I went to a different orthopedist because the one I went to last time was a jackass, and I'm not dealing with that. So I found a new one. It's actually closer to the house and highly recommended. Good dude. We did the X-ray. Says, "Yep, your instincts were right. You need to have a second hip replacement. But luckily, we can do a lidocaine injection and you'll be okay until you get it done because it's nowhere near as I guess it's compressed. Is it compressed?
Yeah, that's one of the things that can happen.
So it's not like it was the last time, but it's got to be taken care of. So that's kind of also why I've been kind of balls to the wall is that I want to have the surgery next summer and I want to be under 200 so I can get the regular anterior surgery and not the anterior lateral because it's even faster recovery.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, let's see. If you can wait a year, that's another 75 pounds. You'll be at 190. I mean, you can do that, right?
I know I can. If I can, I'm shooting for if I can get 2 pounds a week, I'm happy. If it's 1 pound a week, great. If it's nothing, not great, but I can live with it. I just don't want to be going the wrong way.
Listen, I tell people all the time, I talk about they'll call me with the plateau. I got the plateau. And it's like, have you gained weight? And they'll go, no. Are you still losing any weight? Yeah, I'm losing a pound, maybe 2 pounds a month. I'll go, good. You're not going in reverse. Sometimes it slows down. Sometimes you just have to recommit. You might start eating, I know people like to think calories don't matter, but if you eat 8,000 calories of the wrong thing, you're going to not lose weight, right? Your body's going to keep using what you're taking in. So you got to really pay attention to that. But I love that you guys are doing it. Your wife is doing it. You're doing it. Any words of wisdom for people out there going through? I mean, people get depressed. What would you tell them, Tim?
Well, I would tell them first off is if you're depressed, get some help. Talk to somebody. I mean, it doesn't. And I'm not necessarily saying get meds. I'm definitely not saying that. I mean, if you talk to a doctor if it's that bad. Like if you're having thoughts like you want to hurt yourself, you need to talk to a professional. But for me, it was just I found a group of people that I can share my struggles with, my victories with, and I was able to lean on them pretty heavily. With me, it's Robin Dobbins, Kurt Lapeard, and Jen Mendyka and Scott King. And when I was struggling, I clammed up, and that was one thing is I've had to learn is that if I'm struggling, if something's not going well, I can't internalize it anymore because that
Yeah,
was where I would eat my feelings instead of allowing myself to feel that frustration, to feel that pain, that suffering, whatever. I would just use food to push it down as hard as I could, and that just made it worse. So if you are depressed, if you are struggling, talk to somebody, a counselor, a therapist, a friend, a
yeah,
preacher, a minister, somebody, but don't keep it to yourself because that's when you're going to stay in your own head. And I lived in my head rent free for a long time and you saw where I was, but now that I've learned to speak up and really actually, say and utter those words, I'm struggling, I need help. That's when the things really turned around.
yeah. And look, you mentioned the higher power thing, and yeah, I'm an atheist, and but I've seen, my wife always says I'm the most spiritual atheist she's ever met because she's got a lot of spiritual belief. And I always think that we're all here to help each other, right? And the people you mentioned, Scott and Robin, what else did you mention? Jen and
And,
Dyke.
and, and you can't forget Mr. North Dakota.
Yeah, yada yada. All good people,
Yeah,
all good people.
absolutely.
And they've struggled. God only knows. I've been through the struggle with all of them, right? So I know the people you're talking about. Robin spoke up the other night on the VIP group. We had a great conversation. And I'm glad that all these people are around and everyone's helping each other, right? As a matter of fact, look, I give Kurt crap, but look what I'm wearing right now. Yeah.
I can finally fit into that shirt. He sent me one 2 years ago, and I finally can wear it. I should have worn it, but I got to represent Bucky's because that's my thing.
What is now? Let's talk. I noticed a Bucky's T-shirt. Now,
I
I've
love
never.
Bucky's.
All right, hang on. I've never been in a Bucky's, but I've passed a bunch of Bucky's. I mean,
It
there's
is.
one right there in Katy, Texas. There's another one in San Antonio. When you're coming down the I-10 or coming across on the I-10, at some point you start seeing Bucky's next exit. Bucky's. My brother, the one that weighs over 300 pounds, he can tell you everything about Bucky's, right? Explain to the rest of the world what Bucky's is. And
Bucky's
spell it
is
for him because it's not spelled like Bucky. There's a
no,
bunch of
it's
E's and a Z in there somewhere.
no. So it's BUC-EE''S for Bucky's,
Yeah.
and it is by far the cool. I mean, it's a big ass gas station. It's basically Walmart with 100 gas pumps, but it's a lot of fun to go to. I buy a T-shirt every time I go there, and it's been awesome going from 4X T-shirts to 2X, and really at some point I'll be down to XL. And I love them. They're all fun, cool designs. I mean, like this is my presidential one, and it says I won't show my ass, but I mean the backside's pretty cool too. But I mean, it's fun. I mean, their brisket is actually really good for gas station briskets.
You know,
really,
you sound
really
like
good.
you sound like my brother. Like when I know, my brother's a grandfather now, so they're always driving to Florida to see the grandkid. Like every other week, they're off to Florida, right? And I'll talk to him on the way, and I know when he's left the Bucky's because we'll be on the phone and he'll be talking, and you hear. Yeah. It's like, dude, Bucky's. Oh, yeah, we stopped at Bucky's. And the wife is yelling, yeah, he had to stop at Bucky's. And you can hear food going in her mouth. Right.
Oh, so I guess my classroom is part Bucky's. I'm just gonna throw that out there. I'll send you a picture of my classroom tomorrow with my Bucky's display.
Oh God. God. I mean, what folks, what it is think when I was a kid, there was a place called Stuckey's that sold Texaco gas. I think it was Texaco. And you would walk in and you could buy like a dream catcher. You could buy, I don't know, like a pocket knife. They had like Swiss Army knives and, just stuff like that. It was kind of like a cool place to go. And they had fudge. You can get fudge over at Stuckey's,
Oh yeah.
This is like you said, it's the Walmart. It's the Amazon of a gas station.
Yeah. It's the only place where you can go get gas, get a brisket sandwich, get some beef jerky, some coffee, and a barbecue smoker all in one stop.
Am I dreaming that some of them actually have like you can go tee off and hit some golf balls, or is that a different thing?
That's not Bucky's, but there's a couple that are close to like a Top Golf type place.
Okay, that must be what I'm hearing because I think my brother told me one time, he's like, yeah, we went to Bucky's, then we stopped at Top. It's like, when are you going to get to your destination? It's almost like they put Six Flags right at a gas station.
Yeah, and we're getting one here in North Louisiana in the next year or two. They're building one by Louisiana Tech.
Oh, good.
You better believe my ass is driving to Ruston to get a T-shirt.
Oh God. And we can't figure out why we're getting fat as a nation.
Yeah, I don't care about the food. I just care about the T-shirts, and that's really all. I always get a T-shirt. That's my thing.
I can tell you, once these mics go cold, you're turning around. I need to see what's on the back of your shirt.
Oh, absolutely! I will show you. It's freaking awesome.
Well, let me do a quick ad here, folks. PureVitaminClub.com. Go check it out because at PureVitaminClub.com, I've moved it all to one site. You can now get your PureCoffeeClub.com and your PureVitaminClub.com from the same site. You'll go, well, what about the nut butter? I discontinued it. Even though that company still exists, I could not get it to people on time. It was something going on with USPS. And I said, you know what? I'm going to stop selling this stuff. It's not worth it for me to get a bad name out there based on the U.S. Postal Service. So we are still selling the coffee, which shows up on time. As one person put it, get the coffee with your vitamins so that you could drink the coffee while you're waiting for your vitamins. But the joke is on him because it's all showing up pretty quickly. So we're back, folks. PureCoffeeClub.com, PureVitaminClub.com. Everything is pure and fresh. That's my guarantee. And I'm running the company now. That's why it's a lot different. So go check it out. You can find Tim Mallien over on X with his hot wife putting photos up over there. So you go check that out. Tim, anywhere else they can find you?
X is probably the best place. I do a little bit of Instagram and a little bit of the Facebooks, but mostly when it comes to weight loss and that kind of stuff, it's all X. And can I do a shameless plug for your coffee as well? Because
Yeah,
I got Chris sent me the Athletic blend, and oh my God, I'm about to order about 10 more packs of it because that stuff is freaking amazing.
well, no, I appreciate hearing that because I spend a lot of time keeping that right. Just keeping it. Look,
If there comes a day that you discontinue the Athletic blend, that might be the day we can't be friends anymore.
I'm shocked that people use the Athletic blend. Like, I thought that would be my least favorite because I literally made it. I have some. You see it. It's right up on the shelf behind me. I keep it right here in my office. I like the way it tastes because it tastes. I kind of copied the flavor of the medium roast over at Community Coffee.
I was gonna say it reminds me a lot of Community Coffee, and that explains it.
And it took me a long time to come up with that flavor. And everybody in Louisiana, like 90% of Louisiana, drinks Community Coffee. It's a brand down there, folks. And if you go to the website, it talks about me with my great grandfather who was from Italy, and he would take me fishing in the early mornings right there on Bayou Lafourche, and he would let me sip coffee on the way out there. And I wanted the coffee to mimic that coffee, and it was always the Community Coffee, that medium roast, right? And that's what a cute puppy.
Yeah, she wanted to come. She wanted to come and say hello.
Oh, look at her!
This is the snake killer.
Good. You keep killing, or do your job.
Yeah, she's the snake wrangler. My 70-pound lap dog doesn't do anything. She barks at him.
Sounds like what we have going on here. We have a Jack Russell that does all the work.
Yeah, this is the workhorse right here.
Yeah.
The other one just eats.
You ever wonder how people can live without dogs?
I didn't have a dog growing up, so when I got this one 12 years ago, I loved it, and then I got the other one from the pound during a snowstorm, and I don't know, I could never not have dogs ever again.
Yeah, I've been the same way. I got my first dog. My parents wouldn't let us have them as kids. It was like, look, we're having enough trouble raising you guys, and they were both school teachers, so you know the deal.
Oh yeah, my mom said nothing in the house that poops. She's lucky you're lucky you keep me and your dad. I'm like,
yeah,
thanks a lot, Mom. Appreciate that.
Look, bottom line is the four of us were playing sports and everybody was running in different directions. And, I get it. But as soon as I got old enough and was stable enough, I got my first Vizsla back in early 1990s. And I'm on Vizsla number 3 and I'm on Jack Russell number 2. The first Jack Russell showed up with Serena. So I didn't have a choice. And I fell in love with the breed. And here we are.
I've been told our next dog's going to be a Corgi.
Oh, they're great.
Oh, I've heard they're assholes, but I'll take a great one.
But you can train them, right? People say that Jack Russells are not trainable, but they are. Every dog is trainable. I learned this because I've been around horses my whole life. An animal is always learning something. It's up to you to make sure it's always positive reinforcement. It's kind of like being a school teacher. I also have my teaching degree. It's positive reinforcement. You're always teaching something. You want it to be positive, not negative.
Oh yeah.
So if you could teach 5th grade, you can train a Corgi.
Yeah, and now I'm teaching middle school. I can definitely train a Corgi now.
Whew. Yeah, I want to find out where you were and where you went because I used to have to listen to Louisiana school politics when I was a kid. We're going to have a conversation off the air.
We'll spill the tea there.
Yeah. Folks, you know what to do. Rate and review this podcast. Go check out Tim Mallien and his wife over on X. Speaking of X, it reminded me of a little song by ZZ Top that we're going to play on the way out. So on behalf of Tim Mallien, my name is Vinnie Tortorich. Put life into living